anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day. So we have 4 members of parliament, and especially Dr. Pöttering is a former president of the European Parliament. We have Honorable Michael Brandt from Germany, who is a member of the German Parliament and the German Parliamentary State Secretary in Germany. And we have Dr. Hans-Gert is, as I said before, the former president of the European Parliament here. We have Honorable Jiří Oberfalzer, Vice President of the Czech Senate. Let's see, just 1 second. This is another. This is getting me now. This is just 1 second. What happened to this one? Technical issues is always a problem. When I put all these things here. Okay. Pardon me.
It's written here.
It's here. It's here now. It's not going to. Honorable Jiří Oberfalzer, Vice President of the Czech Senate, and we have Juris from a member of parliament from Latvia. So we'll take a few statements from each one of you, right? And then we'll give the floor to the media. Okay, please, from Michael.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have to do what we have done so many times around the globe. We have to raise global awareness again for the Tibetan nation, its culture, its uniqueness, and for the danger it's threatened by. The world could see how much the Chinese regime is under threat from within. Therefore, we have to continue to fight for the world to know a clear picture about what is going on in Tibet, like the colonial style of boarding schools, and I think therefore we have to disrupt and to dismantle that wall, that Chinese wall of imprisonment for the Tibetan nation. And if we stay together, if we fight together, the day will come, and on that day of peace, of joy and of relief, the Tibetan nation will find its just place in our common humanity, in our common civilization. And I think there's a wise word of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He said, never give up. The time will come. And I think in these times, where are a lot of challenges around the world, there are warriors of peace. They are fighting for freedom, for peace, for compassion. And I think that's also a sign of hope that a lot of friends were coming also this year to this special day on March 10. And we will fight, and our fight will going on for peace and of compassion. Thank you very much.
Next we have Honorable Jiří from Czech.
I should be just brief. What China does in Tibet is multiple crime. And I think we should raise our voice against that. So not just support Tibetan people to keep their hope that one day will come, once they will come, but simply we should also orient our effort to change the China's behavior. That is important, I would say.
Dr. Hans-Gert.
Thank you so much. Of course, I agree what my two friends have said already. I deeply believe in the dignity of each human being, And I believe in the principle of self-determination. And this applies for everyone, and so it applies for the Tibetan people as well. And I think it's our common task to defend the identity of the people in the world, to defend the identity in this framework of the Tibetan people. And we in the European Union, we have the principle unity in diversity. And I think the government and the Communist Party in Beijing should understand this, that the dignity and the identity of all people have to be accepted. And this is a great challenge for the present, for the future, and we should never give up to defend our values, the dignity of the human being, freedom, democracy, and the rule of law.
Thank you. So, last we have Honorable Juris from Latvia.
Yes, I'm coming from Latvian state, and you know Latvia was occupied by communist regime for 50 years. We are lucky, now we are free. But 2 weeks ago I was in Ukraine, in Kiev, and I can see how Ukrainians actually face, I would say, something similar as what you faced in 1959, because that totalitarian regime is coming to the houses, that regime is coming to people's lives. There are kidnapped children and deaths and so on and so on. So what I did when I was in Ukraine, I just told them thank you, that they are literally defending even my house, because my home is just 20 kilometers from the border with Russia. And second thing, what I told them, actually I apologized, because as a politician, I see that we, in Europe, in other parts of the world, we have many statements, we are talking a lot, but those real actions we are still waiting for. And I hope that maybe with some positive thinking and with that kindness and what we had here in a meeting with Dalai Lama as well, we can establish in 21st century finally some new framework which can work without veto rights for any violation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, any questions for the press?
Yes. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. First of all, I would like to ask what motivated you and your friends to participate in this Tibetan Uprising Day?
So I think it's an act of solidarity and to show the Tibetans that they are not alone, because they are also in a desperate situation in Tibet inside, and so we want to give this sign. But we are not only here on March 10. In our country, in Germany and the other countries here, and colleagues from all over the world, they are fighting for the same values like the Tibetans, for freedom and for peace, and also of the fundamental rights, the human rights and freedom of religions. I'm a Christian, so I'm fighting for the right of freedom of religions also for the Tibetans and the Uyghurs and the Christians in China. And so I think it's a good day that we don't forget what happened in 1959, and then that there is something to do for us today. So that's not past, it happens now.
So let me follow up by, before that I would like to introduce myself. I'm Someone from Voice of Tibet. So my follow-up question would be, it's an open question to all. So what specific actions do you expect from democratic governments to address Tibet issue?
You?
Me? I am thinking thoroughly not to be so open. My expectations are not so high. I think that the economic power of China is so important for the whole world economy that they are still balancing between respect to human rights and the national economic interests. This must be changed, I would say. As I said in my speech, I think that China is a multiple crime or let's say, murderer should be isolated, which is maybe very difficult to imagine now, but I think that's the only way how we can change their mind. They must feel it.
China, of course, is an important power, and it exists. And of course, we need relations with China. cooperation, but at the same time, China is a rival. And I think in our engagement with the People's Republic of China, which will go on, we should always speak about the liberty of the people as well and the identity of the Tibetan people. And so we should create a deeper awareness of what is so important in the world, that we defend the identity of all human beings. And we should speak out this to the Communist Party in China. We don't believe in the collective system where the individual has no importance. We believe in the individual, and the individual leads to the identity of a people. And so I think we have to defend this awareness in our engagement, in our negotiations, in our cooperation with the People's Republic of China as well.
A very similar question to my colleague. My name is Tenzin Chimi and I'm from Tibettv. I was gonna, so while the countries in Europe share a very deep and strong economic connection and ties with China, there are a number of people in the European countries who are now criticizing the government, their governments, for prioritizing economic ties over human rights issues and their values. Luckily, unfortunately, there are many people who lead these people, become their voices, like the parliamentarians in the respective governments, who are supporting the cause of Tibet and then speaking for Tibet, criticizing the Chinese government's atrocities committed in Tibet. And I would like to know your thoughts and what would be your message to the members of legislative bodies around the world to become strong voices in their parliaments in standing for Tibet. What would be your message to the member of parliaments around the world who are not currently in Tibet support groups or say Tibet parliamentary group for Tibet?
Okay, it's my turn. I will answer shortly that, you know, in short, that it's not easy in Europe and I believe in other continents to explain what's happening in Tibet. But when people understand how huge economy is in China and how it influences even our economies, what we have in our small countries, if we are still buying made in China products, so actually in that way China is going to your pocket, because if you buy cheap things from China, then it means that your entrepreneurs will collapse one a day. So maybe you or your wife or your neighbors will lose a job. And after that, how I told, it's very important to get that connection between personal feelings in a society and as well in political level. And when a society will understand this, it is not very easy to explain them but then politicians will be ready to talk about it more openly, and then of course there will be more actions, because so far it seems that people and even some countries prefer to buy cheap things, not to really do some actions and stand for their rights.
So, but I want to add. So it's it is China is not that strong as it shines. So I think we have to aware about that. The world could see how much the Chinese regime is under threat from within, and also we are seeing cracks showing in the so-called Chinese model. So we have to be aware of that. And for Germany, I can say that's not a secret, that we are trying to be less dependent from China. So the Chancellor, he was already in India, he was also in Beijing, but also the other European countries are trying to be more independent. So that is a situation worldwide, not only China, look at Russia, the United States. So everyone is preparing on that. And for sure, also the economy in Germany, the companies they are working on that. So, and I think we should look different on China and how to handle and act with that. And I think there are a lot of problems in China. Look at the demography. That's a huge problem for China, and I think there are also chance for the European countries, because most of the economy agreements are in the European Union. So the European Union together, Mr. Pöttering, it's very strong. So that's most of the economic things are working in the EU, not EU to China or to the United States. So I think we have to see that.
I think that democratic countries should join their effort and unite speech to China. Individually, each country, of course, is very weak against this power of Chinese economy. So only in unity of democratic world can be something changed.
If I may just add, we in the European Union, and I think we in Germany, Michael Brandt, we don't want a world where somebody is dominant, a hegemon. We don't want neither China to be dominant, nor America, the United States of America, although the United States of America are our friends, our partner, but we see how difficult it is now in the United States of America and the policy of President Trump. So we try, as European Union and Germany, as the biggest country of the European Union, to be a fair partner in the world. And we have not so much mentioned India now. And I think the importance of India cannot be stressed enough. And so we want partners in the world as European Union, like India, Australia, Canada, Japan, and others who share our values. And we want cooperation with China, but not subordination of China. And I think we have always to find the right balance with economic engagement, diplomatic engagement, military engagement, and the defense of our human rights.
So with this, we are going to end the press.
One last question.
Do you have?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I may ask, there is a strong misconception that some critics say global attention on Tibet is declining, So what's your perspective on how can the Tibetan movement regain stronger international attention, and how the international community better address reports of restriction of religion, culture and language in Tibet?
Mike? Anyone?
Okay, and as was mentioned by my colleague in his speech today, almost 2,000 cities in the Czech Republic has hanged their Tibetan flag on their city halls. So this is symbolical support. In Czech Republic, Tibet has great understanding because of similar history, but of course because of several, I think it was 13 visits of Dalai Lama in the Republic, and had meeting with people. So the impression of Dalai Lama and his personality and charisma is very important. Now he's getting old, and so maybe even the Tibetan administration should find another way, because his physical strength is losing. So another personality who could again enhance the awareness about the Tibetan issue.
Thank you. So this will be the end of the press. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all.